Hello, welcome to our news program. My name is Sauda Muganga. You're watching Natural Television from Ankara in Turkey. I'll bring to you our news headlines today. A first Greek leader visited North Macedonia some 2 months after reaching a deal to end a decades-long name war. Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras paid a historic visit on Tuesday to his North Macedonian counterpart Zoran Zaev. Zaev hailed the visit as a historical milestone, as the first visit by a Greek leader to the country since it gained independence from then Yugoslavia in 1991. Tsipras said that Greece and North Macedonia have lost 30 years and that two sides have to leave the bitter period behind, referring to the dispute over what was formerly Macedonia, a name Athens found unacceptable. The row was resolved in late January when Greece ratified a deal to change the country's name to the Republic of North Macedonia. He said that two signed a memorandum of understanding to open a new border gate, Promachio Majden, meant to boost trade, cultural and interracial between the two nations. Zaev said relations between the two countries are improving in all areas, pointing to the positive impact of the deal to resolve the long-standing name dispute. Zaev also asked for Greece's support in its bid to join the European Union and NATO. The two leaders took a selfie after an official ceremony in the capital, Skopje. Greece was the first country to ratify a NATO accession protocol for North Macedonia in February. A group of ultra-Orthodox Jews staged a demonstration against Councilman Kalman Yeğel and his tweet on Palestine at City Hall in New York, United States on Tuesday. Protesters shouted slogans and held banners against Zionism as they called State of Israel to peace with their neighbor countries.
That when Omar said, quote, "I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push their allegiance to a party."
Muslims observed the holy night of Laylatul Miraj, marking Prophet Muhammad's nighttime journey from Mecca to Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, from where he ascended into heaven at Mustafa Pasha Mosque in Skopje. Also known as the Night of Accession, the Laylatul Miraj is generally observed on the 27th day of the Islamic month of Rajab, the 7th month in the Islamic calendar. In Islam belief, Prophet Muhammad, after being prepared for his meeting with Allah by angels Jibril and Mikael, traveled on a winged steed called Burak, first to Al-Aqsa Mosque, where he led other prophets in prayer. He then went to heaven and later to Sidraj al-Muntaha, the boundary marking the end of seventh heaven, where he met and conversed with Allah.
Olarak kalacağını ifade etmek istiyoruz.
Muslims in Stockholm, Sweden also observed the holy night of Laylatul Miraj, marking Prophet Muhammad's nighttime journey from Mecca to Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, from where he ascended into heaven. Muslims in different cities of Turkey also observed the holy night of Miraj yesterday. Miraj is observed in Turkey as one of the 5 holy nights, each of them called Kandir, which translates as candle in Turkish, when minarets of mosques are illuminated and special prayers are held. Miraj Holy Night at Haji Bayram Mosque in Ankara yesterday.
Ümmeti Muhammed'e hayırlı mübarek eyle ya Rabbi.
Ömer Çelik, spokesman of Turkey's ruling Justice and Development AK Party, held a press conference at AK Party headquarters in Ankara yesterday. In his remarks, he mentioned on the criticism of Turkey's local elections, where he said dictatorships and countries with sham democracies have no stand to criticize Turkey's weekend elections, adding that dictatorships with no democratic track record or less than 10% voter turnout have no right to criticize Turkey's elections. Çelik blasted the dictators in the region who win 99% of the vote in elections that have less than 10% voter turnout. He added that the 84% voter turnout in Sunday's local elections is proof of the strength of Turkish democracy. Turning to the party's challenge of preliminary results in the Istanbul mayoral race, Çelik said the party abides by the rules and regulations of the Supreme Election Council and will continue to closely follow the process under the law.
Hepimiz, herkes demokrasinin tarafındayız ve egemenlik kayıtsız şartsız milletindir ilkesinin tarafındayız.
Algerians celebrated after the resignation of President Abdelaziz Bouteflika yesterday in Algiers, Algeria. Following over a month of protests of his decision to seek a fifth term, Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika bowed to popular demands and resigned, reported state news agency APS. Bouteflika's decision came hours after Algerian Army Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Ahmed Gaid Saleh demanded his immediate departure. The Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu inspected the ongoing construction of Türk Evi, Turkish House Center in New York yesterday. The former Turkish Cypriotic Foreign Minister Tahsin Ertuğrul spoke at the second international conference of the Cyprus issue at Near East University in Leftosa on Tuesday. Tahsin, former Foreign Minister of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, said in Lefkosa, the Turkish Cypriotic capital, said effective participation and decision-making mechanisms are not enough for a partnership on the island, but must be based on sovereignty, equality, and when we say sovereignty, equality, we are basically talking about a confederation. That means a partnership of two states rather than a partnership of two communities, he added, speaking at a Near East University at the second international conference on the Cyprus issue.
There was reference in that plan to a Turkish Cypriot state. My dear friends, that entity called the Turkish Cypriot state in the Annan Plan was not a state.
21 irregular migrants of Syrian origin were held in Turkey's southwestern Muğla province as they attempted to illegally cross into Greece, Lesbos Island on Tuesday. Turkey's governmental emergency body has sent medical supplies to cyclone-hit Mozambique in southern Africa as its port city of Beira is battling to control a fast-spreading cholera outbreak. Cyclone Idal made landfall in Beira, Mozambique on March 14th with winds up to 110 miles and 177 kilometers per hour, killing at least 534 people in South African country, according to local media. The head of Turkey's election authority announced on Tuesday that mayoral statuses will be handed to winning candidates if there is no contest to the poll results. Speaking to reporters in the capital Ankara, Sadi Güven, head of the Supreme Electoral Council, said the certificate of election will be given in places where there is no objection or election results. Güven also said that preliminary results of local polls were shared with political parties and the process for applying to the Supreme Electoral Council to contest the poll results continues through Wednesday.
itibaren de itiraz süreci başladı ve devam ediyor. İlçe seçim kurullarımız, seçim kurullarımız itirazlar üzerine olursa itiraz kararlarını verecek.
The Tunisian Prime Minister Youssef Chahed delivered a speech during the 8th edition of the Sino-Arab Business Forum and the 6th session of the Investment Conference, which aimed to boost financial and investment operations between China and Arab nations in Tunis, capital of Tunisia, yesterday. "75 irregular migrants were also held in the eastern Van province of Turkey yesterday. A group of Afghans were among the ones held by military police forces during regular patrols. All the migrants were later referred to provincial migration directorates. Bangladesh called for safe and quick repatriation of Rohingya refugees who have taken shelter in the makeshift camps in southern Cox's Bazar district, the local media reported. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said on Tuesday while receiving newly appointed British High Commissioner to Dhaka, Robert Chatterton Dixon, at her official residence. She said that it will be good for all if the Rohingya can be repatriated to their own country as soon as possible, ensuring their safety and security. Referring to the suffering of locals due to the huge number of Rohingya refugees, she said her government is doing its best to rehabilitate and persecute people. Hasina Press Secretary quoted her as saying in a press briefly following Dixon's visit, and Dixon supported Bangladesh's call for the immediate repatriation of Rohingya in safety and dignity. Hasina also urged the Myanmar authorities to implement the recommendations put forward by the commission headed by the late UN Secretary General Kofi Annan to resolve the Rohingya crisis. Meanwhile, 40,000 babies have already been born in the squalid refugee camps, she added. Venezuela's Constituent Assembly stripped opposition leader Juan Guaido of his parliamentary immunity on Tuesday, paving the way of his prosecution and possible arrest. The assembly convened to discuss a request by Michael Moreno, president of the Supreme Tribunal of Justice, to strip Guaido of his immunity from prosecution. It was agreeingly approved by all lawmakers. Guaido, the leader of Venezuela's National Assembly, was charged with violating a travel ban imposed on him for visiting Colombia. He traveled there a day before an attempt was made to bring US-provided humanitarian aid into Venezuela on February 23rd. He later visited Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina, and Ecuador before returning to Venezuela on March 4th, having no difficulty in re-entering the country. Turkey's Supreme Election Council decided early on Wednesday that some votes will be reassessed in 7 districts of Istanbul following weekend local elections. Earlier, the district electoral councils of Sire, Bayrampaşa, Ataşehir, Umraniye, Beykoz, Fatih, and Gazosman Pasha decided to reassess votes that were initially deemed invalid after the ruling Justice and Development AK Party filed appeals with the council. However, the Istanbul Provisional Election Council decided to halt the review and recount of these votes following an appeal by the main opposition, Republican People's Party (CHP). The AK party filed an objection over the decision. Africa is a step closer to realizing the dream of a single market after the Gambian ratified the African Continent Free Trade Area. It becomes the 22nd country to sign and ratify the treaty. A minimum of 22 ratifications are required to bring into force the single trading bloc that will be the biggest in the world, with an estimated market size of 1.7 billion people. The deal, which was first agreed by the African leaders in Rwanda's capital Kigali in March 2018, will automatically come into play once the 22nd country deposits the ratification instruments with the African Union Commission. Under the deal, African countries will trade more with each other, agreeing to reduce barriers such as tariffs. A researcher at Newcastle University in England believes she has uncovered the identity of the last African survivor of slavery in the US. She is thought to be a woman called Ridoshi, who was taken from what is now Benin in West Africa in 1860 when she was 12 years old. She was then shipped to the US despite the importation of new slaves being against US law. Ridoshi, later known as Sally Smith, was sold to a plantation in Alabama where she lived until her death in 1937. Mozambique's health authority says it will kick off a mass anti-Corella vaccination campaign today, following the delivery of nearly 900,000 doses on Tuesday. Cholera is spread through human waste in the water supply. The flood water itself is not the primary risk. Instead, the risk comes because the existing drinking water supplies having been damaged by the flooding. This Corella vaccine must be seen as a complementary to individual and collective hygiene measures. Mozambique's National Health Institute Director Eleshi Jani has said people should try only to drink clean water, Dr. Jan said, adding that the Health Ministry and its partners have been distributing pure water and purifiers in communities. Thank you so much for being with us today. You can check our social medias of Natural Television or send us messages on our WhatsApp number written on your screen. My name is Sauda Muganga. You're watching Natural Television from Ankara in Turkey. See you soon.